Welcome to episode 42 of LearnerBurn.tech, where in 5 minutes or less we promise you will learn something useful to master your technology. Now, one important layer of technology we use every day is the area of file systems. Now, a file system determines how magnetic bits are flipped on our flash drives, our hard drives, our solid-state disks. So let me take just a few minutes to cover the basics of what you need to know about the most common types of file systems. But to start you off, I'm going to cover off just these 6 types that you'll need to know about: FAT or FAT32, exFAT, NTFS, ReFS, macOS Extended, and APFS. I know a lot of technology jargon here, but let's make some sense of it. So let's start off with the FAT or FAT32. FAT is hardly used anymore, and it's replaced by FAT32 instead, and it's an old legacy file system, but that's got good aspects to it because it means that it works with everything. The advantage is you can take a file from Mac, Windows, Android, Linux, and exchange it across with anything and everything. The biggest downsides, though, is that you have no security options whatsoever, and the maximum file size is 4 gigabytes per file. That's no good for storing modern-day high-definition movies, for example. Now, exFAT was introduced about 10 years ago, and even Windows XP, an older version of Windows, ended up getting an update for it to be able to recognize exFAT. It added the ability to store files larger than 4 gigabytes, but you still have the great cross-device and cross-platform compatibility. So when you can exFAT, do exFAT over the regular FAT32. Now, the next one is NTFS, and it became Microsoft's standard on all server operating systems initially, and eventually became the default even on all consumer operating systems as well. You know, it's really matured very well and has a strong security model. If you store anything confidential on a Windows computer or a Windows flash drive, you really want to make sure you at least use NTFS. However, don't expect a Mac user to be able to read your NTFS flash or external drive, for example. Now, ReFS is Microsoft's newest file system, and it stands for Resilient File System. Just like the word suggests, it was designed fundamentally not to leave you stranded with a file system that makes files or folders potentially corruptible. It might be too early to call a verdict on this one, but so far there are lots of folks very excited about it, and about it being one file system that achieves the best of all worlds. But new technologies all need time to be tested. And don't expect your ReFS formatted flash drive to work with anyone else's computer just yet either. Finally, macOS and APFS are Apple's default file systems, which are native to Apple devices. And if you are sharing disks with others that are formatted like this, they will be readable only by other Apple devices, generally speaking. Now, there are literally dozens of other file systems out there, but every day, non-nerds tend to work with just the ones that we talked about today. Enjoy, and see you again next week.